Hey guys, Kev here, and I'm going to do a disassembly on the Divo knives, TallBoy. This is the batch 2 or V2, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a second generation, it's more of a CQI, so we don't know exactly what to call it. But if you saw my video from the other day, you'll see all the versions. We have the purple camo with black and black wash blade. We have the purple camo with purple accents and a beautiful belt satin blade. And we also have the black pearl with all satin hardware and belt satin blade. These three will be available on the Divo Knives website. So our website, along with the hardware kits. I did confirm we ordered 30 Zircuti kits this time. Usually we do 20. We're going to start ordering more and more depending on the model and, if you guys like it. But anyway, those will be available on our website. Retail is $219 on this bad boy, but you can use Lefty10 at any of these places. You'll get 10% off, so it's under $200. White Mountain Knives has this version, all stonewashed with blue accents. Blade Binge has this version, which is blacked out, black PVD, black wash blade, teal accents, black clip, dark mode version. And then TPK, Traditional Pocket Knives, will have this version, 80s camo with all satin accents, belt satin blade, and they lost the milling on their version. Same with this one, we lost the milling on the purple. We kept it on the black pearl because I think it looks good with the milling. So maybe if we do a third version or run and we do the black pearl again, we'll lose that, but I don't know. So these are all available on the 20th of March at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So mark your calendars if you're interested. Hope you guys like them. We are excited about it. So what I'm going to do is put skips into this purple and black one. So this is the what we call purple nurple right here. So I don't know what we're going to call this. Because it's kind of similar. What do you call this version? Somebody give me a name in the comments. The only things coming to mind are not politically correct, and I don't want to say them, but it's just because of the color. Maybe we could call it the Janet Jackson. I don't know. We'll think about it. Anyway, let's rip into it. In case anybody has not seen the disassembly on this knife, I think I've done 2 already. I think I did the prototype, and then I think I did one the first drop. But I always like to do this so people who pick one up and decide to get Skiff bearings know what they're getting into. You're going to want 5mm 1/16 bearings. They're 12 count now at Skiff. And you can use the code LeftyEDC. You'll get 10% off at Skiff Workshop. You're going to want a T8 bit driver. That's all you're going to need is one T8 bit driver. And looks like they did use some Locktite. So this is not the torquiest driver that I have. So I'm going to be careful here and switch over to the Weha Stubby. I highly recommend you get one of these so you have it for these type of scenarios. I think I have a link in the description down at the bottom where the disassembly stuff is. And if you have that, you can get a little bit more torque and be less likely to strip. It almost seems like the wrong side is, nope, there we go, it's coming out. So we've also tried to get Kubi to make the collars a little bit easier to come out. I've still been meaning to design something to make that easier, like a hole somewhere so you can kind of push it out, but haven't gotten that far yet. But they do seem, the last couple knives, they seem to be better, like they left a little bit of space and they can just fall out, or they're not oiling underneath or whatever. Now the reason why you want 2 drivers and you don't really want to just use this stubby is, 1, when you're tightening stuff, you don't really want all this leverage. And 2, well, maybe I'll leave it out in case these are tough, but Two, it's a lot easier to loosen a screw with a driver like this because you can just quickly turn it like that, where with the stubby, you gotta like slowly turn, re-grip, you know. So there's benefits to both. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on. So you're gonna wanna get out the body screws, obviously. Those are the same, this one and this one, so it's okay if you mix them up. Then you have the clip screw. It's pretty hard to mix up any of these screws, so you shouldn't have a problem. Clip screw is different than the body screw. The body screw is different than the pivot screw. That should be a song. Here's the clip. Just kind of walks out like that. I'm going to reverse that when we're done here. I'll show you the cool system we have on the inside. Oh, that's another change, actually. I totally forgot to mention that. But we will get into that. So here's the liner. Just going to kind of clean everything up. They have a lot of oil in here. I'm not the biggest fan of having all that oil on the inside of my knife. Clean up your lock bar while you're at it. It's always good. Smack yourself with the knife. That's always a good idea. Here's the bearings, 5mm, 1/16. You can get a test fit card from Skiff. Obviously, you don't need to in this case because we're going to tell you, because you should probably tell people what size bearings to put in your knife. But 1/16 right there. Boop. And then you're going to want a 5mm pivot. Right? See that? I can take the stop pin out so I can show you. Boop. 5mm pivot. And then you want the 12 ball count. Some sizes have multiple bearings. So like Skiff will have different sizes for each. Hard to explain, but like multi-row or whatever. So make sure you're also checking the overall diameter of the bearing. Or just watch my videos on disassemblies and I'll tell you everything you need to know. Here we go. We'll clean off the blade there. Clean the bearing pocket and clean our lock up or lock tang there. Gonna take a Q-tip like this. You can get these on Amazon for dirt cheap. You can search Lamiere if you want. They come in these cool things. You get like 4 or 5 of these for literally $8. And so you get like 400 or 500. Pick your color. You can pick if you want regular or micro or whatever. You can see which ones I have here. It's probably the best size, 2.5mm. And then they have this cool thing on the bottom here where you can rotate it and then open it up like a salt shaker and get one out, which is really nice. I'll try to put a link to those down below too, but again, you can just search that on Amazon. Take your alcohol, and then you want to stick that into your detent hole, spin it around a little bit, and clean that out. Get any schmutz off. Didn't look like we had any there. All right, couple of things on the knife. So, pivot fell out there. Okay. This is how we have the show side set up on the knives. You have this sort of steel plate thing that drops in here, and that houses the stop pin, and then it also acts as a washer. So you don't need any washers with this knife because you have that one that acts as a washer, and then you have this side that acts as a washer. So what I would recommend, if you're gonna put skiffs in the knife, do it as quickly as you can. Do it right away. You know, play with it for a little bit, make sure you like the knife or whatever, then put skiffs in, because the bearings are gonna wear a track into the liner and into this piece. And normally on a knife with washers, what I would do is take the washers and flip them over so I have a fresh, clean side, and then the new bearings can go on those. But I can't do that here. So it's better to get the skiffs in quicker, because that way they will start wearing their track, which could be slightly different, right? And the reason we put skiffs in a knife is, one, it doesn't have this ass-ended cage. See how it's stamped? So this This side has a flat side, rounded side, or whatever. This side is stamped. So there's like an ass end to it. That's what I call it. It's like an open-ended bearing, which is not the best. And then you have this Skiff, which is a solid piece of phosphor bronze. Solid cage. And then you get more balls. You get, I think, 9 in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you get 12 here. So you get 3 extra balls, and you get that 2 times, so you get 6 extra balls in your knife. I will say that if the action feels good out of the box, you really don't need skiffs in a knife like this. It's really when you get those smaller balls, the 3/64 size bearings, that's when you really want skiffs, because you'll get like 9 balls and the skiffs will have 17. You know, that's a pretty big difference. So for 3 extra balls, not the biggest deal unless you're a nerd like me and you just really want to do it. So totally understand that. All right, I'm going to shut up now and get to work. So when you're reassembling, you're going to take this pivot collar, and you'll see it has a little notch in it down there. And there's a little notch on this side, right? So you want to look for the handle that has the notch. It's going to be your show side. And that little cutout is going to drop into that notch. Then your pivot has a little notch on it as well, a little cutout on it to line it up. You're going to drop that in, and then the DK is going to be straight up and down, and that's going to drop in. You'll see here in a second. It's going to pop into place. Boom. Sits right down in there, and there your DK is straight up and down. Then you can set this down. Now, the other cool thing I want to show you, this is the other update I didn't mention. We have this little piece in here. It's like a little nut, basically. And I'm going to zoom in so you guys can actually see. So this little nut is what holds in the clip screw on the show side. Most of you are right-handed, so this is not going to matter to you at all. But in order to have that clip screw actually go into the knife, and so lefties can reverse the clip, we had to figure something out because we didn't want to put a whole liner in here. Just seemed ridiculous. And we have titanium versions, which on the titanium versions, there's obviously no liner over here. It's nicely milled out, and you can just screw that right into the titanium. You just thread the titanium. So in order to have both carbon and tie versions of this knife and not have to re-engineer everything, we put this little washer in here. And on the last run, little nut, sorry, on the last run, the nut was actually round and it had like jimping all around it, and that's what bit into the carbon fiber to stop it from spinning. But if you really pull on it, like turn too tight or whatever, you could get that nut loose. And then you basically just have a free spinning thing in there and it's useless, right? So again, they're fine. We haven't had a single person reach out to me about it. I'm the only person who had that problem because I over torqued it on purpose to test it out. But what we did was we had them change it to a D shape. When we originally designed it, we asked for a nut. We didn't really specify. I just assumed they would know not to make a circle. But anyway, now it has a little D shape, so this thing is going to be really stuck in there. And unless you really crank it, you're not going to tear all that out and get it free spinning. I would have liked it if it was like a hex nut where it had 4 or 5 sides. That's what I asked for, but this is what they did, and it's perfectly fine. Here's the back spacer. That was another change on this batch. The back spacers are just cut a little bit lower. You can see that spacing right there is very thin. It's structurally fine, but it's thinner than it was before because we had a few in QC that we pulled on the last batch where if you really threw that blade down, you could get it to contact the back spacer. Again, we had like 2 people reach out to us about that, but we wanted to make sure that was adjusted on this batch, so we changed it. So that is the back spacer, but all the parts are interchangeable. I mean, this thing isn't, but I don't know why anybody would swap that from one knife to another. You just use the one that's in there. But backspacers, collars, clips, they're all interchangeable. But anyway, I just want to explain those changes. And here we go. Grab these and some KPL. Try not to forget to put a little bit on the detent track real quick. I always put KPL heavy on the detent track. Come on now. I put KPL heavy on the detent track because to me, I want a little bit heavier oil on there. Man, that thing is really a pain to get out of there. Let me just use this Q-tip. Get that on there. I don't want too much, but I do want some. There we go. All right, we're done with the heavy. And then on the bearings, you want KPL original. Just put it on your fingers like so. Roll the bearing around, flip it over. Yada, yada. Drop it on. Grab your other one. Start working that as you put the blade on. Now, obviously, the blade is also going to have a detent track cut into it. It's going to take a little longer because you're talking about S90V at a good heat treat, but it will. So it's always better to put skiffs in right away when you have a knife versus waiting. Looks like this is all in there. I want to make sure that stop pin. There we go. Okay. We're all good. I'm going to pop this one on. Looks like everything here goes on the outside. You always want to make sure of that. That's something I always forget to do. So then what I'll do is drop the collar in. Make sure that's in. Take the pivot screw. We're going to clean it. A little bit of alcohol. You can see there's some Locktite on it. Clean that off. Probably not going to get all that off, but that's not a big deal. See there, we got a good amount of it off though. And then I'll also take that spot of alcohol and lay it over the pivot. And I find it usually better to take one bit down from what you're using to tighten it. So if you have a T8, use a T6 and drive that into the pivot and just clean it. You obviously want to have the cloth over it, so the cloth is what's in there. Don't try to break anything, but... And then you'll see this will actually come out of the pivot hole. See? Clean anything out of there. Put my collar back in. All right. Now I can... put the screw in without that dog hair. And just tighten it a little bit. I like to have it tight enough that it's not gonna come apart or the blade's not gonna rub if I close the knife. I'm gonna take my body screws next and drop those in. I usually try to go in some kind of order, so I'm going from the pivot down. Some people like to go the other way. Okay. And then we're going to take our clip and I'm reversing it. So I'm going to unscrew this side. And I'm going to move this over to here. Now, if you wanted to use the wire clip, there's one included with the knife. And you would just take that clip out of the box. There's screws with that and use that instead. Use the little bit longer screw with the wire clip and then use the shorter one on this side, or just leave the one that's on the knife already. Then you won't have anything sticking out or anything. All right, so now the clip is gonna go on this side. Whoops. Drop that into place like so. Put, whoop, whoop, whoop. Put the screw in. There we go. Tighten it down. Make sure it's not tapping. I do hear something there. I'm going to check, make sure everything's tight first, and then that was probably just the blade smacking the side there. So I'll check again after. If I have to tweak the clip, I will. I don't think I need to though. So that's tight. That's tight. That's tight. That's tight. 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 All right, just have the pivot to work with now. Make sure the pivot's in there. It's in there. Everything's good. Tighten it down a little bit. Check centering. Looks like we're over to this side a little bit. So I'm going to come off a little bit. Still over there. I think I did pull this one because the centering was off. So there it's good, but we'll see if we have any issues. No lash at all. It's rock solid. Fires out. Yeah, we have a little bit of play. Action's good. Everything sounds good. We just have that little bit off center. That's not bad. See if it's still, yep, a little bit of play. So I'm probably gonna have to, jeez. Yeah, the action was really, oh, that's weird. Tightened it and it centered up. Okay, sweet. See if we have any play still. Yeah, we still have a little bit. Weird. Is it? Well, might have been all that Locktite on there. Just makes it a little bit, yeah, a little bit harder to tighten, but it's getting actually more centered as I go, so that's interesting. Still swinging down, no problem. Might not need Locktite on this guy. There we go. Give it one last snug. Yeah, it's centered up. So there you go. Still, it's tiniest bit of play. Okay. Still good. So it looks like you can tighten this puppy all the way down, no problem. So everything is good to go. Nice click, no tap. Everything's good. So then what I'm gonna do is take this out. And put it back in. I think I know what's going on. Tighten it down, it's good. No play, swings, nice click. I mean, I really don't think that's gonna loosen on me. You know, but I will Loctite it just to show you. I think what's happening is I'm wondering if the barrel was loose on here or something. So it looks like there's maybe the tiniest gap there between the screw and this. This is the pivot cap, and they secure these at the factory, and maybe whoever did this one didn't tighten this all the way down, or they didn't Loctite it perfectly. So when I was loosening it, what I thought was happening was that this side was loosening. And maybe as I'm tightening it now, it's tightening it back in, because that's what would happen, obviously, as you crank on it. It's going to keep tightening this down and this down until they hit a wall, and then you're going to strip stuff. But I wasn't stripping, it just was like tough tightening. So I have a theory. Let me try. Oh, you know what? I don't think I have any extra hardware for these. I just have kits, but those don't have pivots. So never mind. I'm going to just put it back in and see if I can get it that extra little bit. I'll show you how I'll do that, but this shouldn't be a problem for you guys. Like I said, I pulled this one because of the centering. So I knew something was up with it. Just gotta twist it a little bit. Obviously easier to do this when you're putting it together. Don't do it after like me. That should be close. There we go. Yep, seated right in. Okay, so here's my idea. You guys saw how it started actually getting more centered the tighter I went, right? So my theory is I just need to crank it down a little bit and it'll fix itself basically. Centered. Yep, no play. Action's still good. So I'm guessing when I was tightening it there, it was tightening it back onto this screw essentially. And now I'm getting a little bit too tight. No, it's almost perfect now. And the centering is dead nuts. So that'll tell you exactly what's wrong. Now let's see, when I loosen it, it might be good now. It might just loosen this one. That's the goal, obviously. You want it to just loosen off of this barrel, and then it's good to go. So that one's loose, it's coming over, and then we tighten it. Let's see. Center it up. I shouldn't have to like crank on it or anything. Yeah, not feeling anything. So I think I got it pretty dialed in there. So what I'm going to do in this case, because it's a little finicky, it's not perfect, I'm going to Locktite it because I'm going to probably have to tweak it a little bit as I go. I'm not going to be able to just drive the screw in and forget it. I'm going to have to finesse a little bit. Again, should not be a problem for you guys. If you ever have a problem with one of our knives, you just hit us up, info@divoknives.com. We will 100% take care of you. You guys are our top priority. If you have any issues or anything, we are always here to help. And again, there's really nothing wrong with this knife. It just needs a little bit of extra love from me getting it together, that's all. So get that Locktite in. I'm also very nitpicky, right? I want my knife perfect. So we're almost dead nuts there. Maybe I did get it. Let's see. I mean, there's no play. And that's pretty perfect. It swings down, but it's not like a guillotine. I personally don't want a guillotine. I know a lot of you guys do, so you can set yours however you like. There we go. Got a little bit of a turn there. Dead centered. Fires. It's a bank vault. And basically swings down. Gotta give it a little shake there. But I bet you with enough break-in on the bearings and the detent track, this thing's gonna be damn near perfect. And that's how I like it. Man, that's tight. Yeah, baby. All right, perfect. So I'm gonna let this sit overnight and it is gonna cure. And then I'm gonna carry the absolute piss out of this because I love it. Fantastic. Little bit of extra TLC was required on my end for this one, so you guys always see the real deal. You always see transparency with us and me. I'm not going to edit this to take out the part where I found out that, you know, something was a little bit off with the pivot. It is what it is, right? Again, I did pull this exact version because it was slightly off center, so I knew something was going on. But I mean, that was an easy fix. All it took was a stubby driver, right? Now, obviously, in an ideal world, that would be Loctited to hell on this side, and you wouldn't have that problem at all. And, you know, if I take this apart again, I risk that coming loose and stuff. But once I put a knife together like this and I Loctite it, there's a high likelihood I will never touch it again, because I'll just carry it and use it, and it won't move because I've made sure everything's nice and Loctited. And so it's not a big deal, you know. But anyway, if you ever have issues, hit us up, info@divoknives.com or kevin@divoknives.com or LeftyEDC88@gmail.com, or leave me a comment. Hit me up on Instagram. Always available to help you guys with your Divos. Also, guys, check out our Facebook group. We did start a Facebook group. It is called Divo Knives Dive Bar on Facebook, and we're getting that puppy going. We're going to have some cool stuff in there. Hopefully, not too long from now, we'll have like a group knife that will only sell in there. We also got some cool mugs, Divo mugs made by Deneen Pottery, and we plan to drop those and make them available in the group first. And if they're all gone, then they're all gone. We have like 100 of them. So good reason to join the group on Facebook. But that's it. TallBoy, Batch 2, Disassembly, Reassembly, Skiff, bearing swap, and slight tweakage. And I love you guys, man. I really do. I appreciate all of you so much. This camo carbon looks sick, doesn't it? It really is dope as hell. I feel like Andy's only getting better at making this stuff. I'm going to add a little bit of Wicked Wax to the camo carbon to spruce it up a little bit. I usually like to do that too when if I'm Loctiting something like this. It's going to sit, right? It's going to sit here on this desk overnight. I might as well get a little bit of this soaked into it as well, which will look good. If you guys remember in the first video I did on this, I put some on the show side, I think. And see, this is why you want a driver like this, because you can spin it better. Although, when you're using one finger or whatever, it's a little harder. I put some on in that video, and it did kind of soak it in, and it dried up a little bit, but every time you do it, it gets a little bit better. And once you do 2, maybe 3 coatings, I feel like it kind of stays looking really nice. I mean, it's never going to look like this all the time unless you coat it over and over, but it'll at least look better than the dry stock version. So I like to put it all along the edges, just run my finger down like this. I noticed they did a much better job knocking all the carbon off. Like on the last batch, I feel like we had some like fraying. It wasn't a big deal. You just you carry the knife and it would smooth it out. But I don't know if that's because of the milling. Maybe because it didn't have the radial milling on this batch mostly. Let me see if this has any. See, this looks clean too. So I think there's a little bit of one. There's like one little hair. I'll show you what it looks like. When you have carbon fiber that's been cut like this and milled and stuff, you'll get little like almost strings. It can't hurt you. But let's see if the paper helps. Really hard to see, but That make it worse? Where'd it go? Man, it was like the tiniest little, it looks like a hair almost. Can you see it? Oh, there you can. Right there. See that like hair looking thing? That's not a dog hair. That's just a piece of the carbon from when it, there it is. There you go. That's what it looks like. You can see it's attached. But if you carry this knife for any length of time, you're just going to rub that off. So she said, and then it'll smooth out. But, so maybe it was the milling. Oops. So not having that milling on the handles made it look a little bit more finished, I would say. If we notice it, we'll just kind of run a rag over it, and that usually knocks them all off. Again, they're not going to hurt you or anything. I mean, you don't want to eat them, but nobody's doing that. I think I got this all grooved up here. And this stuff is all natural stuff. Pretty sure it's just beeswax and works on steel, wood, leather, and epoxy. 100% food safe, all organic ingredient. Manufactured by Diprete Forge. And that's where you can get it, dipreteforge.com/shop. This is Wicked Wax. It's beeswax. And it works on a lot of stuff. You can even use it, like, pretty sure you can use it as chapstick. I've done it. So, not going to hurt you. Again, you don't want to be eating stuff, but put this back on. And then see, yeah, that action's coming along. And then I'll take maybe a cloth. If you're OCD like me, you can just take a cloth along the pieces that you don't want it on, like the back spacer, the screws, that kind of thing, but I'm just gonna let it go. So there you go. I think that's enough. You guys let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Again, these all drop on the 20th of March at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's a Thursday at divoknives.com, at traditionalpocketknives.com for the 80s version, at Blade Binge for the black titanium and black wash with teal accents dark mode version. And you have the all stone wash with blue accents at White Mountain Knives. And then again, these three and the hardware kits or accent kits on the Divo Knives website. Here's the difference between the waxed up camo carbon and the non-waxed. You can see a massive difference. Also, I know some of you are saying, I wish you put the purple on the on this version. We did not. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, we did not order a lot of purple kits. So anybody who has that idea, you're really going to want to act fast, because I think we literally ordered 5 kits in purple. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was thinking we've done this before and we've sold purple kits already, and then we have this version with the purple. So we didn't need a bunch of purple kits, even though you guys usually gobble those up. So maybe that was a miscalculation on my part, only ordering 5 of those. Might be 10, but I'm pretty sure it's 5. I think we have 5 purple and 5 blue. And then we have like 10 satin, 10 black, and maybe another one I'm not thinking of. And then we have 30 Zircotite kits. So that's it. I'm going to shut up. I love you guys so much. Hope you have a great day, and I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.